Well, good morning, guys. Glad to have y'all back with us. We appreciate you watching the Piedmont Gardener. We were out here this morning and just enjoying the garden. It's the end of March, and a lot of stuff happening in the garden right now. As you can see, the turnips behind me have done went to seed, and I'm going to let those go to seed, and we're going to save the seed off those turnips for our next crop this fall. But today we're going to do a little video on transplanting some cabbage. Now I'm going to go back and show you some different things that we've done over the last few weeks. But we're going to get some cabbage that I've directly sown in the garden, and we're going to transplant it to some trays. And it's not quite big enough to go in the big garden yet, but we're going to get it ready, and I'm going to show you. I'm going to go back and show you some video of where we planted the seed and the result that we've got. So let's get out in the garden and just enjoy the day. All right, guys, I've got a little spot here. I've got some mesclun mix and some regular black-seeded crimson lettuce growing in this bed. But I've got enough room right here in the middle to where I'm going to plant my cabbage transplants. And once we get them up and get them growing, then we'll transfer them to the garden. So I'm not worried about spacing in any way. So the first thing we're going to need, of course, is some good soil. Something to get these seedlings off to a good start. And I'm using part of my raised bed, and it's got good dirt in it, got a lot of compost. I'm not going to fertilize. I'm not going to use any kind of fertilizer at this time because these seedlings are not going to develop here. So I'm not going to work anything into the ground. Now, if you had a real poor soil, you might want to put some kind of mild organic fertilizer in there, but because I don't need it, I'm just going to plant the seed. The first thing we're going to do, I'm just going to take my hand. This dirt's so loose, I'm just going to loosen that dirt up just a little bit, and then I'm going to just pat it down, and I'm going to make me a nice semi-firm seed bed, just like that. And let me grab some seed and I'll show you what we do next. Alright, I've got you zoomed in where we can see what's going on. And I'm going to get a little bit of these cabbage seeds, and I'm going to show you they're pretty small, and that's oh, that might be a quarter to half a teaspoon. That's a whole lot of seed. That's a whole lot of cabbage plants if they all come up. Now, I don't think they'll all germinate, so I overseed a little bit. These plants are not going to be grown, like I said, to full development in this space. We're just using this as a seed bed for transplants. And I've got a nice controlled environment right here that I can grow these out till they're big enough to stand up to the rigors of the garden. But all I'm going to do is just sprinkle these seeds on the ground in our little bed. And like I said, we're putting some extras in case they don't come up. But we're just going to sprinkle them right in there in this little space. And then all I'm going to do, I'm going to take my fingers and I'm just going to lightly massage that soil just a little bit. I'm going to just work it just a little bit, not a whole lot, and then I'm going to pat it back down. Just like that. Now, most seeds will, as far as the amount of soil that it takes to cover them to germinate, is usually about the depths, or the depth would be about the same diameter as the seed. So with any little tiny seeds like this, lettuce and carrots, you don't need a quarter inch of soil covering it up. And most of those, with making those indentions in the ground and then patting it back out, most of those seeds have got plenty of soil that they can germinate. Let's get them watered in. Now I'm going to take my hose here and I'm going to be real gentle Let me zoom you out just a little bit. I'm gonna be real gentle, and I'm gonna just barely, hope you can see that, I've just barely got the water going on there. I don't want to wash those seeds up in a pile. I want to keep them spaced out. So we got to put the water on real gently, because I have made the mistake of overdoing it right here, and all your seeds will be in the little puddles of water, and you don't want that. So let's just gently water them in, and in about 3 or maybe 4 days, these little boogers will be up, and probably about a week or maybe 2 weeks, we'll be moving them to the garden. Now we've made it out here to one of my raised beds, and that's where I planted these cabbage. And well, let me get the camera adjusted and I'll show you what we've got. Now if you'll look right here, what we've got is in the raised bed, we've got some little seedlings. And they're for all y'all that are familiar with growing the crucifer crops, which includes broccoli and cabbage and mustard green, turnip, things of that nature. You can see that those little seedlings have popped up, and they're starting to get their true leaves. But you know, the first thing you see is those little double heart-shaped leaves pop out of the ground. But these have progressed to the point to where they've got their true leaves. And you can also see, if you look real close, that they're quite crowded. Now, my concern is, if we leave these in here like this, then they're not going to get big enough. They're going to be competing with each other. So what we're going to do, we're going to transplant them into some trays. Now you can see here that I've picked up some of these trays here at the local hardware store, and they're really inexpensive. From time to time I save these trays and reuse them when I do buy plants at the hardware store. But what I'm growing this year, as far as cabbage, is this is a heirloom variety that I got from Baker Creek Seed. And I wanted to continue. I've been trying to get into more of the heirloom type vegetables, just like my turnips, so that I can save the seed. And that'll cut down on the expense of my gardening. So basically, you can see the sun's coming up and it's starting to warm up, so we want to get this done pretty quickly. But what I've done, I've just sown these seeds in here randomly, just like you seen earlier in the video. And now they've come up and they're a bit close together. And I've got a little bit of a seed starting mix, some pot mix here. And what I'm going to do is quickly take these plants, and I'm going to dig a few of them up. There's way more cabbage here than what I can use, but I'm going to take and try to separate that seedling just like that right there. And I'm going to take him, put a little dirt in one of these cells, and I'm going to ease him down in there real easy and straighten him out. And you got to be real careful, you can break them. But I'm going to get him planted in that tray, just like that right there. And of course we're going to water him in, and we're going to let him get a little bit more mature. We're going to keep him protected, and then once he gets a little bit bigger, we're going to put him in the garden. Let's get another one. A little bit of soil mix, put it in there, make you a little depression, and you'll have to use your own judgment. I'm going to take my hands and get in here and get us another one. them right in there. They don't have to be in the center. I'm just trying to give each one of these little seedlings its own little space so that it's not competing with its neighbors. And these are some really good looking plants. Here's another one. Yep, got two there. But now we want to get these in here. We want to get them in here quickly. And of course we want to get them watered in. We want to put as little stress on these plants as we have to. Now I could have direct sowed these seeds right in the tray, but I chose not to do that. Basically cabbage seed and all your crucial seeds are really tiny seeds. And the other way to do this is to sow them in trays, and then you can just take some scissors and nip off the ones that you don't want. But we're going to try this method this year and see how it works. I think it's going to work just fine. So let me go ahead and get the rest of these potted up, and I'll show you what we've got. All right, guys, we got them all trayed up here, and what we're gonna do next, we're gonna take and go over here and give these cabbage plants a little drink. And I'm gonna put them in the shade till they recover. I don't want them out here in the sun baking, but I'm gonna set them in the shade and let them recover, and then we'll come back and we'll transplant these into the garden, and we'll grow some cabbage. All right, we're gonna be real easy, and we're just gonna give them a little drink. We don't want to get too carried away. We'll mess up what we just got done planting here. We're gonna give them a good little drink. Saturate that soil real well. And it won't take these little fellas long. They'll spring right back, and they'll have their own space, so they'll start growing pretty quickly now that they got a little bit of room between them and their neighbors. Old Ruckus, he's over there upset with something. He's always upset with something. All right, we got them watered in. All we got to do now is wait for these things to start growing a little bit before we can put them in the garden. Well, good morning, guys. Hey, it's been a while, and I would have liked to brought you all along with me when we set these plants out, but as you know, especially if you live in the United States or all over the world for that matter, the last 2 or 3 weeks have been really crazy, and so I got carried away planting the garden, and got my cabbage in, and it's been about 3 weeks since we about 3.5 weeks since we transplanted the little cabbage plants that we grow from seed. We planted them in our raised bed on down the line, and I put a few of them here, and I've got some out in the big garden. But I wanted to let you take a look at what we've got growing right here in the raised bed and how they've done. All right, guys, so there they are. They look pretty happy. They've come along, and we planted them, and then about a week later I give them a little drink of Miracle Grow, and then about 2 weeks I come in here and side dressed them, and they're starting to look pretty good. So that worked out pretty good for us. But there you have it, guys. That's the way that I grow cabbage from seed. And don't get me wrong, that's not the only way to do it. There's, like I said, we could have direct sowed right in the seed flats. But cabbage being a cool weather crop, you can put it in. We put that cabbage in one of the beds, and I've got a little hot boxes or hot houses up there. We put those in there probably right at the end of February, and it didn't take them long. Cabbage, all your crucial crops, they'll germinate fairly early, and so we've got our cabbage in the ground, and hopefully here in a few weeks we'll not have some nice heads of cabbage to eat. But I want to thank you for watching the video, and if you enjoyed watching it, hit that subscribe button and give us a thumbs up. Until next time, this is a Piedmont Gardener. Y'all have a good day.